Um, so for those of you who don't know Amber, I mean, anyone who's been around for a while definitely does. I remember the first time I met Amber, she was just the biggest light. Like you feel her good energy and her good vibration just coming at you. But Amber is going to share a little bit of her story, and she actually trained us at the Jewels of Excellence training and was one of the best trainers ever. Her authenticity is so incredible. But she also just last month went emerald on her re-entry leg. So if for those of you who know, you can go diamond and then you can re-enter again. So she just did it again all the way to emerald. And then she was in the top of all four leaderboards. She's really crushing it in her business, but she also is such a one plexus person with so much kindness. And I just really appreciate her coming to share with you guys today. And we have to record this because we had a bunch of people that couldn't be on it that I know are going to be blessed as well. So thank you, Amber.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And you know what? I like kind of a smaller crowd because then we can maybe do some Q&A. I'll try to watch the chat. My goal is always like to give really applicable ideas for you guys to go back right after the Zoom and apply. So if you have any questions or want more clarity, or you're thinking like, I remember watching Zooms and I still do, and I'm thinking this like, wait, what about this in my head? Please feel free to ask, and I'll try to watch the chat, or Noelle or Chelsea, if you want to let me know questions in there too. Well, I just love Noelle and I love Chelsea, and I'm so excited to be here and get to share with you guys. I'll just start with a little bit of my beginning story. So I have been with Plexus for going on 12 years. So a long time, my entire adulthood, really, it feels like. I joined when I was 23 years old. I was a stay-at-home mom with one baby at the time, working three different jobs from home. I was cleaning houses, I was cooking food, I was baking at a bakery with my baby on my back. My husband was 19 when we got married. So we were like always just trying to scramble to like put a little bit more in savings, and then something breaks down or you need new tires, or you know how that. I remember thinking, wait, this is adulthood, this stinks. Like and that kind of early young married life. So I started the products for health reasons, and of course, they worked fabulously for me, and I was able to get over some really big health struggles I had had for years. And I went to an event and I was inspired around the business side of Plexus and the income side. And I'll pause here and I'll just kind of weave things into my story. One thing I always tell people is get your people to events, whether they're online events or they're in community space. Inspiration is we're in the business of transferring inspiration, right? There's no strategy, there's no steps, there's no perfect video out there that can do the same as inspiration from person to person. So whether it's just an event that has two people there, or a Zoom where other people are speaking and we can have that FaceTime, like get your people to events. That is all my upline told me to do in the very beginning. And my upline, she's a diamond now, and her husband is a diamond. It's Elizabeth and Carl Spohn. They're in Alaska. And she said this, here's another tip. She told me a few years after I'd hit diamond, she waited until then, thankfully. She said, didn't, you weren't the one I was after. I was not the one she was targeting. She didn't look at me at 23 and think, yeah, that's going to be my next diamond. That was nowhere in her thoughts. I was incredibly awkward, no network. We didn't even have Wi-Fi at our house, 23-year-old, right? But she saw my mom, and my mom had a lot of influence. My mom had network. She was 45 something years old and had 45 years of growing a network, right? She was not social media savvy. She didn't have Facebook. She didn't know how to post, but she was just a solid person. And so my upline, who was just a few years older than me, thought, how can I get to Lori? Lori Bradford is my mom. She's a diamond sapphire now. And she knew that I was that channel, that connector person. If I can get Amber, Amber has influence with her mom. Now, I share this because who do you have in your network that you could find a connection person to? Maybe you don't have the influence to them, but who is the person in between, or maybe two people in between, right? And Lizzie just didn't do this with me. She did this with a second time on her husband's account. You guys know Brooke Hemingway, right? Brooke Hemingway, Emily Gibson, all Amy Paul. Those are all under my upline's husband's account because my upline thought, how can I get to Amy Paul? Amy Paul has a huge network. She's a diamond in plexus. And she didn't know Amy Paul, but she found a connection person that she knew in between who is also now a diamond, right? So she duplicated this multiple times, and it's something that I look to do as well. So who's your connector, people? But I'm so grateful. I always say I'm so glad that Lizzie went through me, right, to get to that person. So I started on the income side. I was really inspired by it. And Lizzie said, get your mom to an event. We both had no idea what we were doing. She's like, just get your mom to an event. So I begged and pleaded and got my mom to come to an event, a little tiny room in a 1,000-person town. And Sonia Dudley, who is a top diamond, if you know her, she's also my neighbor. Her daughter used to babysit for me. Sonia Dudley was doing a training actually. And my mom sat in that training and got inspired. And she said, I know I can do this. Like if these women can do it, I can do it. And she went diamond in 11 months. Okay. And here's where my story starts. So I connect my mom, she goes diamond, emerald in 9 months, diamond in 11 months. So just a few months from emerald to diamond. And we now have, just to share this as well, we have over 100 six-figure earners now in our downline and in our team. Like that is the power. I love to share that because this is not a you get lucky or you know, maybe it connects for you. It's a duplicatable business model that with the right skill development and patience and time builds itself out. So that 100 plus six figures under there really, really shows that, right? I love that. So, okay. So, mom goes diamond in 11 months. I'm over here, you guys. If anyone has ever felt like they're on the struggle bus, I was the captain of that. I was the driver. Like I was in the front. I was on the struggle bus so badly that I like to share. I once messaged a man, asked him how his breastfeeding journey was going and if he was interested in plexus. Like I was so bad at this that I was doing really embarrassing actions like that. I would send messages, not get any responses. I would try to have customers and they would stop taking the products right away or tell me they didn't work, right? I was up against all of those walls that so often we feel. To the point that I went to my mom at one point at a gold level. I was a gold ambassador, but because of having a great downline, I was making around $3,000 a month as a gold ambassador. And I share that because oftentimes we think, oh, if I was making more money, if I was more successful, then I would feel differently about what I'm doing, right? But I still felt that struggle and that pain of like trying and not succeeding, and the money didn't matter. I was still it was that struggle that I couldn't break through. And so I went to my mom and said, I'm not going to I am going to use the products forever, but I'm not going to do the business side anymore. I was like, obviously, this is what I said. And I really want to share with you all because you might be on the struggle bus as well. And maybe you can say this, obviously, this isn't for me. And that's what I told my mom. I was like, look at the facts. Look at my customer base. Look at my like duplication levels. Look at my retention rate. Obviously, I'm not cut out for this and this isn't for me. Now, friends, I share that because if someone had looked at the statistics, they would have been like, yeah, she's probably right. We should let her go with grace, right? But what you can see after skill development and patience is time. I still hit diamond and I just hit emerald in 14 months on my reentry leg, right? And we've still been here as a family for over a decade with this being our full-time income. So your beginnings, no matter how bad or painful they are, does not tell you anything about the possibility of where you can go, because with this industry, it gives us that time for skill development. No one's going to fire you, right? Only you are the only one that can quit on yourself. And that's not, if you're on this Zoom, I love talking on Zooms to people because I know that you're not here to quit on yourself. Like you have a dream and a vision and a passion and a desire. So I want you, anytime you're up against a wall, I want you to think about me and say, Amber obviously couldn't do it either. And she obviously did, and doing it a second time, right? So that is your story as well if you rely on that. So I needed bravery to keep going. You're going to need bravery to tap into something that says, I'm going to do action now that I can't see the results immediately from, right? I'm going to believe and I'm going to have bravery to keep going towards something bigger and greater. Most people don't. For most people, the fear of unknown and uncertainty stops them. And it just keeps them in the same. We don't want the same. We want different. So bravery is required. Patience is required. Skill development is required, right? And with skill development, that's having somebody else look at your work and ask them for a critical feedback. Like, tell me how I can improve this message. Go to my Facebook wall. What would you think if you went to my Facebook wall? That's you letting go of this is what I would say. Nobody's going to be interested. Just nobody's ever interested. Nobody's interested like that. It's hard for me to even say that now because I'm like, oh, that's such a negative thought. Whatever you are saying on repeat is what your actions cannot outwork your thoughts, right? So if you're saying nobody's interested, I guarantee you nobody will be interested. If you're saying I can't post or I don't have time, you'll never find the time. Yeah, words create things. Whatever you are, you create your own reality because that's what you're seeking to make true. So back when I used to say nobody's interested, well, or I'd say everyone says it's too expensive. You guys, I never get that anymore. Like I never ever hear it's too expensive anymore. And that used to be what I heard a lot, but it's because of the way I was projecting, right? So I used to say I'm too busy a lot. Oh, if I had more time, then I would send more messages. If I had more time, then I would do this. And I would rely on that. Well, that just meant I was never looking for time then because I was telling myself if I had it, I would. So how then would I ever find it if I was already saying it wasn't there, right? So I had to start saying, and this is what I would encourage you with any negative thing you're coming up against. I don't know how to post. There's no one interested. I can't expand my network. I don't have time, whatever. I can't duplicate. I want you to say, how can I? How can I? And it opens up different pathways in your brain to come up with creative solutions that maybe you have never tried before, right? So I remember when I had my last baby, he's 14 months now. That's when I started my reentry account. The month I had him, we had some big sale or something going on, and I had a ton of interest. And I thought, how can I do this? Like I have an infant, how can I do this? And I thought, well, I can send one message at a time and I can do voice message and send it in the little pockets. And those one messages will add up to more messages, right? Like I didn't have work hours. Oh, hey, I have a second. Let me grab my phone and open a message and send a voice message, right? And was able to make traction just on that from coming up from ideas. So I want to encourage you, anything that you feel stumped on, write it down, flip the question of how can I, and then come up with 10 creative solutions to your problem, right? I had someone tell me a couple months ago, I just don't have anyone else to share. Like my network is tapped out. There's just not anybody else to message. And we went around and came up with different ideas and different things, but she kept coming back to, there's just nobody to message. And so I realized I can't give her a solution to a problem that she wants to hold on to, right? And I've been there in my own journey multiple times. Sometimes there's a problem you want to hold on to because it's giving you an excuse to come up with different solutions, right? So that takes a lot of self-awareness. At one point, I just did a training last night. I said for over a solid year, I cannot sign anyone on Instagram. I can't sign a customer online. Nobody online will want to order from me. And I said that for a solid year. Now, probably the last 3 years, the only people that have ordered from me are online, right? But a solid year. And because it gave me an excuse and it made me feel better about myself and like, well, nobody can, so then I shouldn't expect results. And I remember my mom saying, she got so frustrated with me. She was like, fine, Amber, you're right. Nobody's ever going to sign with you online. I guess that's it. You know, and she knew that that would annoy me enough to be like, no, I got to figure it out. She's like, you're creating your reality. So I went all in to study that and just got excited by the idea of finding ways. So I want you to get excited by, like, if duplication is a problem, get excited to figure it out, because it's figure outable, right? Like everything is. And write down 10 different ideas. So back to this lady, I realized that. So I just said, and this is this really, really tough love. And I told her in a very kind way, well, Sam, it sounds like you have some choices to make. You can either figure it out or decide that it's just not what you're going to want to figure out. And that's okay too. You know, and that confronting, like, this is up to me. Nobody's coming to save me. I can figure it out and learn and get excited, right? And she came up with vendor events, and she's done the most amazing vendor events. It's a gift and a skill of hers, and she's signing all her customers from vendor events. You know, she found a solution. So I want to hopefully encourage you guys with that. But so that was the how. Like, when people ask, well, how did you get out of the slump? How did you get out of, like, wanting to quit at gold to being able to go to diamond in about 2 years later? You know, it was flipping the script of whatever I felt like was a block, and then getting excited to find ideas and solutions and keeping up with that, because it won't happen in 1 month, right? It won't happen in 2 months. Noelle asked me to share a little bit of golds under golds, which is how you develop a gold and how you help a gold develop a gold, right? That was my 100% frame of reference for creating this reentry account. I did not want to sign a bunch of customers. I wanted to have women that wanted to earn an income that I could help teach them and train them on how to earn an income, right? And that's probably what you guys want. You're like, gosh, if I could have a business builder, that would be amazing, right? We all want other business builders to do this with us. So here's what I did using those same principles for the reentry account. First, I had to be brave and accept that it was going to take a lot of failure to get the results I wanted, but the failure was learning, right? Like, I had to learn. I had to be able to be vulnerable and say, I'm going to put myself out there, go for this goal, knowing I got to trust. I don't know the timeline or the process, and just be brave and say, yes, I'm going to do this, right? So yes, you're going to do this first and be brave. Then I had to honor the 90-day rule. This is a huge thing, friends. It is going to take a solid 90 days at least, and usually sometimes 60, sometimes you get lucky and can get it in tighter, but 60 to 90 days before you see the results of anything new you start to try. So whether it's a new way you're posting on Facebook, or a new duplication method, or a new messaging flow, you have got to honor that it is going to take that usually full quarter to start seeing the results of that. So I started posting for business builders. That would be my number one thing. If you want to develop golds, I would ask you, how often do you post about the income side of Plexus? If I went to your Facebook wall, stories don't count. Okay, stories are great, but that's not stagnant. That's something that someone had to hope to have seen. Facebook is permanent. Permanent is the word, right? It's there. So if I went to your Facebook, would I see more Plexus products, or would I see Plexus income? Right? What I tell my team, I want you to post 60% about the products, 60% on the income, 40% on the products. Because here's the thing, and this is why the 90-day rule really comes into play even stronger. We know the concept of layering exposures, right? When we say something about Plexus, someone has to usually take several months or several conversations for them to understand their problem and how it connects to our products, and their interest grows through layers of exposure. For someone to say yes to the income side of Plexus, that layer of exposure has to be tenfold, right? That clarity that they need to know, and that understanding of that this connects to their problem and could be a solution, needs to be so much more developed than them trying a new product, right? That takes even more development. So if it takes a lot more development, we need to first give it a lot more time, but then also give it a lot more consistency, right, than we do even with the product side of it. So if you want someone to say, hey, I am interested in that income side of Plexus, they need to have seen it a lot from you. They need to see clarity from you. So how can you make it as clear as possible what you do and what they would be saying yes to? A confused mind says no, right? So if there's any confusion about what they would be doing or what it would look like, they're going to keep saying no. So if you're, that would be the difference between posting like, do what I do. It's so great. Join me. You know, they don't know what you're talking about. Is this a cheerleading squad? Is this like a sport? Is like, what am I saying yes to? But if it's, you break it down into how simple it actually is, you know, you try a product and see if you enjoy it. If you do, you have a referral link, and that your friends can order from that referral link and you immediately get income back. And that duplicates itself from person to person, right? The more that you can bring clarity to that, the more yeses that you'll get or interest that you'll get. So I had to start posting really clear and very consistently about what I was asking women, strangers, mind you. Strangers is a lot harder to be interested in. I do go back to my story archives if you are someone who utilizes stories a lot, and I look through the full month. Like I see, you know, Chelsea's on here. And I know you're huge on Instagram. Looking through the full month, how many times did I do products? How many times did I do business? Was I clear? Did I give polls? I always give polls on my stories. If I don't want to deal with a lot of people messaging me, I'll say, send me a heart, because all my responses go drastically down because polls are easy to click on, right? So you want to do polls, easy to click on. Yeah, Chelsea has a huge account. I know, Ashley, I saw her account and I was like, I need what Chelsea offers because I am cluttery is my life. But it's okay. Maybe I'll tackle that next year. So where was I? So you're clear, post about it a lot, then offer it a lot. So when someone is using the products, are you offering to every single product user the income or referral side of Plexus, right? If I look at someone's stats in the back office and they need to have at least 20% silver development out of customers. And if not, it's a good sign they're not having the conversation multiple times, right? Not just once, not, oh, she's not interested. You have no idea when things change. Christmas is coming up, friends. I have women saying yes to the income side because they're already thinking about saving for Christmas, right? These are things that you can utilize in conversation. Hey, friend, I know a couple months ago at the beginning of summer, you said this wasn't really something you were interested in. I just wanted to check back in because now that things are dying down, and see if it's something that you're maybe feeling the nudge towards now. I know Christmas is coming up and that's always a tight time for people, right? This is that circle back conversation constantly. When I post about the business and the income side, I'm actually thinking more about my customers than current prospects that haven't even tried the products. What do I want my customers to see and hear? What do I want my past customers to see and hear? Because I understand that it's quite elite for someone to never have tried a product and going into the income side, right? So my goal is for me to layer all this income business side a lot. And then usually they come in as a customer and they say, and I always say this, hey, if you enjoy your products, are you interested in the income or referral side? I'm sure you've seen me post about that. And that almost always, 99% of the time, opens the door to them saying, yes, I am. And because it's in the future, and I said, if you enjoy your products, and they just placed their order, so they're not feeling this need to decide right then, but that gives me a leadway into what they're thinking and where their thoughts are at, and what kind of levers I can push for them, right, to help them get there. So they come in as that. I ask every single one of them. And then people always go like, well, what do you do when people say, yes, they're interested in the income side? I just get them into immediate action. Oftentimes I don't put them in a Facebook group. I don't tag them in video systems or series. I just help them take the first step easily with as very little homework as possible. So I say, oh, that's awesome. Tell me who comes to mind when you think of might want to use these products too. And they say, well, my mom or my sister. And I ask, why? Like, tell me about your sister. Why do you think she'd be interested? Is she into fitness or health too? Well, no, she has this thyroid issue or blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to grab you a testimony that you can send your sister. And in the very beginning, I'm doing the most work as possible with those new people. Like I give them my cell phone number and I say, I'm not always on Instagram, but you're my top priority in helping you share. Here's my cell phone number. You can text me if you don't hear back from me on Instagram. Like that person, I am like mama hen over that new person, right? And so I help them get into action immediately. And then I say, send me a screenshot of what they say back. As much as possible, I am working through them. Like short of me being in the chair holding their phone, I want to be involved with that process. I customize it. So when people say, well, do you have a make a post? I will customize it and I'll see does this person post very often? Like, or is this someone that only posted like last Christmas was their last time they made a post? If so, like I'm going to help warm them up and say, hey, before we put a post out there about Plexus, what do you think about making a few just updating people in your life and what's going on and maybe a new hobby that you've got started? And I help them warm up their audience before they come out there with a Plexus post because I want them to have the most success possible. So after I get them to do those first actions, my goal next is to put them into community. And I quickly try to put them into community of any sort that I have available. So whether it is a group chat that I'm doing that I can welcome them and say, hey friends, please welcome Sarah. She's so excited to get her products in the mail soon. And she's already sharing with her mom and her sister and we can all congratulate her. Or if I feel like that's going to scare Sarah off, I'll start a three-way chat with me. And I actually utilize my sidelines for this. So they're not even my uplines, me and my sidelines. And I'll say, hey, I'm going to throw you in a group chat with Sarah. Can you just like tell her a little bit about your story and welcome her? We're over here on the side and then we start a group chat and we're like, Sarah, and we're just giving her that welcome and that support. So she has other faces and other bodies so that when she shows up on a Zoom, she recognizes Sally and Leah and people that she spoke to in the chat, and it's not a foreign place, right? So we do that for each other as sidelines. And then I also I'll tell Sarah or any new income earner, the closer you stay to the fire, which is our community, the faster success you're going to get. So if you want to grow that income source, I want you to show up to every Zoom and get active in that chat. Like, do not be shy or a wallflower. And this is what I would tell you, friends, when we're talking about income earners. You are the mentor. They want you to give them direction. Sometimes we can be like, oh, I don't want to be too pushy, so I'm going to like set back here. And like, I don't know if she said, yes, she's interested, hopefully you asked her like what her goals would be. And she said, well, I would love to work less shifts, or I would really love to cover our mortgage, or I would really love to, and she told you that, then you are the mentor and the guide to help her make that happen. So usually when we're worried about being too pushy, we're actually not communicating enough and giving enough direction. That's usually the problem people have, right? Unless you're one of those pushy people, you're a little bit more rare, but still use that drive that you can help lead people to the next step, right? And I'll tell them, like, if I'm sensing that they're not giving me a lot of feedback back, I'll say, hey, I just want to make sure that I am on the same page with what you are still wanting. You had told me a couple months ago that car payment was really a huge goal for you. Is that still something that you're excited to work towards covering? Or have you, if you've just been busy and haven't had a chance to get back, I totally understand. I just want to make sure that that's still our goal together, right? Like that's really good communication around the issues if they're being quiet or they're not having response back. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I promise. I could just talk forever on the subject. So you bring them in, you have them do those steps and actions, get them in the community, and you keep them inspired. People don't share products, inspired people do, right? So what is the next inspiration you can give them? Is it Fast Start Silver? Is it Senior Silver? Is it Fast Start Gold? If they sign 2 people, it's, hey friend, what if you could sign 4 this month, right? Like it's putting that excitement and that joy in front of them. It's Leaders Retreat is coming up. That's a huge thing to drive people to. I'm constantly putting my people's faces on things for anything they do and putting the graphic in our chat and just trying to create energy and excitement. When you are getting something off the ground, and I'll end with this and then there's questions or anything like that. If when you are getting something off the ground, it takes a disproportionate amount of energy to move the object, right? Think about a rocket ship and how much fuel, it's insane if you look it up, that is required to get a rocket ship off the ground. It's a disproportionate amount, right? So that is what you are trying to do, honoring that 90-day rule. You need to put a disproportionate amount of energy in it, into your conversations, into your actions, into the way you're showing up online. How do you stay motivated to do that? You keep that 5-year goal super strong in your head. If you ask me to close my eyes, I can tell you exactly where I want our family to be in 5 years, Lord willing, right? Like I can go there, I can feel the emotions of it. I can see it in my head of what I want our 5-year plan to be. If I asked you like, hey, 5 years from now, I want you to jump to that spot of what you're working for, how quickly could you jump into that place? That is what I rely on when I don't want to do the work. You guys, and I don't want to do the work a lot, a lot. I drove to the church parking lot today and sat in my car and sent out like 27 customer follow-ups while and this is just so you know, like on a diamond emerald side, like I even messaged my 2 friends and I was like, I so badly don't want to do this. So I'm going to tell you guys every message I send just for the dopamine hit of having gotten to tell someone. So I sent one message and I found a GIF of like a guy holding up a sign, like 1, and I just went through and 2, all the way to 16. I got all the way to 16 customer conversations, right? So just so you know, like it's not, oh, she's just so like, she just wants to do it all the time. Like, no, but I honor the work that I do, knowing it's valuable and that 1% is what compounds to the 100% that we want to get to, right? Honor that each day. There's only 9 rank ups in Plexus. There's only 9 times that you're going to get your face on a graphic and have that high of celebrating having accomplished a goal that month. So if there's only 9 and you plan to be here for decades, like this is my home, I want to be Grandma Sheila. I want to be the 80-year-old diamond that they bring up on stage, right? Like that's what I want to do. Then you have to honor and value and celebrate just the small point increase. Did you go up 5 points? You grew your business by 5 points, right? Like that is still, if you had a marketplace, if you had a store, and people walked in your brick and mortar and it grew in a month, that would be to celebrate. If you're not in the red, that would be to celebrate, right? So 10 points, 15 points, you got a level 2. Like this is all highly, highly valued. And make sure you're shouting yourself out for that. Like have your own place to get that dopamine effect of like, you guys, you will know on my Facebook stories if I work out, because I will be the first one to say, I just want everyone to know that I worked out, because I need everybody to know that that just happened, right? I need that dopamine hit because I do not like working out. So same thing with your Plexus business. But okay, I don't want to talk everyone's ear off. I hope that that was encouraging and applicable, and you guys are going to honor the point increase and have fun doing that this month.
Amber, I just want to jump in here real quick and just say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I took like 2 pages of notes for you to offer our team. I don't know if you saw it. I put it in the chat when you were talking earlier. I think I'm Sonia's level 8. And her and Helen have been more than gracious and doing so much for our team, because there's so many people in between us that, don't work this business, and they've been amazing to us. So Noelle sent me like 82 messages from Leadership Excellence Training talking about how much you impacted her, how amazing you are. And as a diamond in this myself, like I always feel very honored to be asked to speak on other people's team calls. I don't take that lightly. So the fact that you came here tonight and to pour into our team, I so appreciate that. I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I mean it.
Stephanie.
I do. You said so many good things: consistency, being bold, posting about the business, changing your mindset, all the things. I'm just curious about one thing, because December this year will be 11 years for me in this. And I have felt the push and pull and the changes and the dynamic of social media, right? It's not 20, I joined in 2014. Noelle joined me in 2015. I think Chelsea joined in 2016. And it has been like just, roller coaster, and things change so much. I'm just curious, is there anything that you do differently? Like when it comes to social media, I find myself doing, honestly, in the seasons like this month, I've signed 4 people already, and I haven't in a long time. And I find myself doing that with face-to-face, with picking up the phone and calling people. And my goal is to do at least one in-person event a month. Do you do anything like that? Like if you had to, not that social media still doesn't work, don't get me wrong, but like just shifting into something different when you've been doing this for a decade,
Yeah.
right? Is there anything like that you've been doing?
Yeah. I think social media is slowly fading as the way to grow, because people are desensitized to it. Right? Like it's they see people doing affiliate linking all the time. The mini chats thing that came in of like comment guide and I'll send you a guide, like this just made influencers even more distant and more like just dropping in their inbox. And how often do you actually use that thing that's in your inbox, right? Like I think it's a great tool, but it's also just made everything even more distant. So as much as you can, bringing it back to in person, I think is the smartest move. I have to work. This is why I tell people think it's all glamorous. And Chelsea, you can probably attest to this, like having this big Instagram following, where actually like we got to work so hard to take a stranger to even notice us a second or third time, and then to see us as a human that they can actually connect to, like that can take 2 years. Where if I can get face to face with someone, I can get rid of that 2 years and have them ready to order in the next month or that moment. Right? So the more that we can get in person and with people, I think is the golden ticket to that, because people want human to human. We want face to face. And that's probably been the biggest hurdle I've had to overcome on the social media side in the last year and a half or so, of how can I take these people and realize like I'm in your corner, I'm a human, I'm not here to just like post reels and content and then like be a figure on your phone. So yeah, in person as much as you can.
That's so good. And I'll piggyback on that. And then I have a question for you. I very much resonate with that. And I feel like one thing that I've done just, on Instagram to be able to build relationships quicker is utilizing voice messages, even with people that I don't know. Like if somebody reaches out about even an Amazon link that I've shared or anything.
But she has a really good Instagram following.
I do my best to even respond with like a 20-minute voice clip versus just a little written reply. And I find that it goes a lot quicker. Most of the people who are in my inbox about Plexus, I can look back and we've had some kind of conversation before that. So just kind of humanizing yourself on Instagram is huge. I have a question for you as far as your reach outs and things. So how the majority of your customers and your new business builders, when you see that somebody's in your stories, are you waiting for them to swipe over on a poll, or are you looking for people who are kind of creeping your stories? And if they've been with you for 5 Plexus stories, are you making those physical reach outs, or are you waiting for people to reach out to you?
I do both, depending on the season I'm in and what, like if I need to move the needle farther, right, then I would do that. And especially when I was first growing, I was messaging people that were looking at my stories, or messaging people that I was targeting because I really like this person. Like I would love to work with this person. And I would make sure I was watching their stories and becoming human and relatable to them. So both. And I really follow, and I've actually been doing a lot because I am trying to create income earners, and I can do that more with people who know me. So I've been messaging CC moms and homeschool people and people I've run into, and maybe it's been a couple years, and I'm sending them offer messages. We follow a system called OATS on our team with offer messages, which is O stands for make the offer. Hey, has anyone taken the time to share Plexus with you yet? And then A is ask their needs. If they say yes, or if they say no, what is it? I've thought about it. I go to ask their needs, like, hey, I can send you a lot of info, but what would be the main goal that you have? And then testimonies, and then carts. We kind of follow that flow, whether I'm reaching out to somebody or they're coming to me. I pretty much handle the conversation the same.
Mhm.
But yeah.
That's really good. I feel like that's kind of a missing piece of the puzzle for me for a long time anyway. It was just waiting for people to come to me and like really being willing to have that initial conversation and reach out. That's really good.
Yeah, that's the way you control it, right? If we're waiting for people to come to us, we're not in control of what the only thing that we can control, which is starting and having conversations.
That's right.
The O was offer. So it's offer, ask, testimony, share a cart. And we follow that pattern.
I love the wording you use, Amber. Like, has anyone taken the time to help you? Like everything about the words you use is so perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
I think of it, we're in a service. Sales done well is service. So
Mhm.
we are, how can I serve you? Has anyone taken the time to offer Plexus to you yet? And that that's a, can I do it for, instead of will you do this for? And I always tell my team, like in those conversations, you are just playing a part in someone's journey. It is not about you. It's literally about them, their needs, and if they see a gap that you can fill now or later, right? And the more we can detach ourselves from it being anything about us, the more we're in a consult, like we're just consulting with them to find the best fit for their needs. And I really think people can feel that when they're like, wow, she's really here just to see if she can serve me well, and what my needs are and where I'm at as a human, versus like she's trying to make a sale, so the more I can, like, okay, if I was hired by Plexus to have conversations with people, like how would I handle this as a white glove consultation service, and I think that kind of viewpoint helps too.
I saw someone in the chat, I don't know which iPhone, but they were asking if you still do three-way messages with your new people and their people, I believe is what the question was.
I do that if they want that. I let them know, hey, if you want to pop us in a three-way chat, I can like answer for questions. So I kind of put that for them because they know their friend better. Because sometimes it works great and it's awesome. And then I try to like send a photo of myself and really humanize myself again. And then sometimes I feel like people are like, whoa, what just happened? So I let them lead that. Any other questions that you guys have or anything though?
Can I ask a quick question, Amber?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Kim. That was my question about the three-way, because I know we were really big on three-ways and taught three-ways and it being very duplicatable. And then when they sign someone, they'll connect to their sponsor. But I have been getting more resistance to that lately, of people just not wanting to do that or saying that their friends don't want to do that. And even with coaching of like, hey, that might just be in your head, not necessarily, it's not working as well as it used to. So I that's really interesting that you said that. And I'm going to try just kind of coaching them, because I can tell that that's a lot of my girls have MLM experience. So they're coming in and they've done, so you got to kind of meet them where they're at too. So that was really helpful. But I wanted to get clarity on one thing. At convention, your Emerald, your chat for us, Jules, was phenomenal. Your social media training, I took massive notes and it was so helpful. But one of the things that you shared was that I thought you said the direct opposite of what you just said on this call. So that's why I want clarity. You said something about I thought at convention, you said that you don't use a lot of polls unless you're super busy and know you're not going to be able to get back. I thought you said that to get engagement and interaction up, that you'd have them drop a heart or you have them do something. And I started doing that. I was like, wow, why did I never think of that? Because you want the comments and then they start seeing your stuff and it's in your inbox. But tonight I thought you said you always do polls. So is it which?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. And
Okay.
I was having to talk so fast at convention. So they're like 45 minutes. I was like, great, 6 months of content, 45 minutes. Plexus, you want a poll because they're easier to click. Non-Plexus, you don't want a poll. I want them to ask me for the link or send me their ideas or send me a heart. The AB, like if you guys want to stir up engagement, asking like, have you ever, any kind of question. I asked the other day, like, hey, have you ever canned? A, yes. B, no, but I want to, C, no desire, you know, and for people to just put a quick A, B, or C. And then off of that, I'm immediately like, okay, so you said B, like, tell me what's keeping you from canning. Like, maybe I can give you some ideas as a new canner myself, you know, like I can go into immediate conversation. But Plexus, you want polls because you're going to get more clicks that you can get into conversation with versus asking them to respond in the DMs. I'm glad you asked that though. Hopefully that helped in that way.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. I feel like I went way over time.
It was so good. I feel like I'm gonna rewatch this recording like 5 times myself.
Oh.
I took notes as fast as I could and can get them all. And we have so many people to send the recording to. So Amber, we are so grateful for your time. We know you're a busy mama and we just really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really glad to be here. You guys are awesome. Such a fun team.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone go check out our Instagram. See the cows. My son actually told me tonight I could sleep with cows. I was like, oh, well, that's perfect because Amber's gonna be on here. I'm gonna go sleep with her cows.
One day you'll be out here, Noelle. We'll get you pictures.
I am coming. It'll be the highlight of my year.
All right. Well, bye, friends.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.